Business Leadership South Africa says the country's latest round of stage 6 blackouts is already being felt across the economy, but its chief executive, Busi Mavuso, says that companies are now cutting staff because they can't open their doors due to the power cuts. Let's speak about this now with the CEO of the Black Business Council, Kganki Matabane. Mr. Matabane, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. So we've been speaking to you a lot in the last week and a half. News in the last while that a wage agreement has now been reached between Eskom and unions. How much hope does that give you as a Black Business Council that we're finally going to get out of this crisis, at least temporarily?
Good afternoon, Tembekile and the viewers, and thank you very much for having us. Let's hope that the agreement will assist. But remember, even before the strike, we were on stage 4. So hence we were saying Eskom leadership is coming up with so many excuses, which are not necessarily making sense, because if the load shedding only started during the strike, at least one will understand. But we've been on stage 4, stage 2, stage this, and all these things before the strike. So we were not necessarily hopeful that much will change. Hopefully we'll go to stage 4 instead of stage 6. But the impact will still be the same, especially for small businesses. I think for big businesses, a little bit better, because majority of them can afford a alternative energy like generators and solar panels and so on. But as for small businesses, for example, if you're running a small guest house or hairdresser or a student accommodation and all those type of things, you can't do much, because you can't afford, you're not making enough money to can afford things like generators. So what will be the alternative? The alternative would be maybe then send people home to go and then sit at home, because if they come to work, for example, if you have a hair salon, they come and do nothing. Yesterday, if you calculate the hours, out of the 24 hours in a day, we were off for more than 10 hours, which means it's almost half the day and part of the evening there was no electricity. So what do we do as a small business? We have to basically close shop, because you can't absorb the cost of having employees there that are not necessarily productive because there's no electricity.
And how many of these small businesses do you think realistically will still be standing at the end of this crisis?
It's hard to say, but remember, most of them are still trying to recover from COVID. And some of them were even affected by the looting that happened last year, July. And then they are trying to bring themselves to pre-COVID situation. And then we were hoping that at least now that the economy is fully reopened, we'll be able to start seeing some of them growing, some of them getting to a level before COVID, and then being able to bring back some of those employees that they actually sent home. But now the things are not getting better. The numbers that we want to see of people being employed are not going to be realized. And we've been saying to the President, you need to do something, because this is your legacy. Your legacy may just be remembered for the highest number of outages in history of South Africa. So it's important that the President needs to understand that this is his problem. He has to do something. You cannot keep people who are not performing in the job. Even if you are running your spaza shop, someone who has been running the spaza shop for 2 years and then they are not delivering, you have to get rid of them and
so
bring someone else with new ideas.
Last week when we spoke to you just on doing something, as far as the President is concerned, you are of the view that Andre de Ruyter, the Eskom CEO, had to be fired for failing to lead the utility and the country out of this power crisis. A week on, what would doing something mean to the Black Business Council? What needs to happen? Is it ministers who have to go?
Yeah. Obviously, the people who are supposed to hold the CEO accountable, they start from the minister, the board, and the CEO himself. I'm sure if you are a CEO who's not performing, you must be ashamed of yourself, because you are there, you're getting paid every month, but you're not delivering what is needed. So I think conscience must also come to the CEO to say, I've failed the people of South Africa. let me just go. Like he has failed NAMPEC, has failed Sasol, is now failing the people of South Africa. So he needs to do the right thing himself.
Mm. So Andre de Ruyter, when he came in as CEO of Eskom, was lauded, basically pitched as the man who was going to lead the country out of the energy crisis. It's an energy crisis that predates him. It goes back to the late 2000s. Many other CEOs have come and gone, and load shedding has remained. Is it that he underestimated the problem, or that the problem has just got worse to a point where even the best possible CEO would not be able to fix it, at least not in the course of 3 to 5 years?
Yes, remember, if you are a CEO, you don't get pointed at the with a gun and be taken to a company. You apply. He saw the position being advertised. He applied. He thought he was going to do the job, and we also gave him the benefit of the doubt. We welcomed this appointment because we were hopeful that he'll do something better. But things have just gone from bad to worse. When he was appointed, we were hitting like stage 1, stage 2, but now that he's there, the figures are there. We're not manufacturing these figures. These figures are there. He's the worst CEO that Eskom has ever had. He had the highest number of load shedding. He's basically bringing the economy to his knees. So, and those who are have appointed him, they must release him.
Interesting you say that then, because coming into the conversation, I referenced comments, written comments, at least by a colleague in business, Busi Mavuso, who's an Eskom's board chairperson, not board chair, but board member, as well as chief executive at the Black or the Business Leadership SA organization. I beg your pardon, I don't know why I'm suddenly tongue-tied. And she writes that de Ruyter has actually led from the front, basically, during this time of crisis, and actually been giving updates, including to business, about what's been going on. What do you say?
But remember, the Ruyter is not a spokesperson of Eskom. He's not appointed to give us updates. He's appointed to provide us with electricity. And the electricity that he's supposed to provide is not there. So it's neither here nor there that is speaking to us. That is a public relations. And he's repeating the same lie all the time, hoping that people will believe it, that the sabotage, the state capture, and all those type of things. His job is not to tell us that something is going wrong. His job is to say, I've been appointed, I've been paid, he's receiving his salary every month, I've been paid to provide electricity. Where is electricity? That's where when we ask him in questions, that's where we're supposed to start to say, your job is to provide electricity to South Africa. You have not done so, and instead you've taken us to you are breaking the wrong records. You this year alone, I think we've lost so many megawatts hours that has never happened in the history of South Africa. So he's breaking the wrong records, and you cannot necessarily be able to defend him and say he's doing a good job. He's supposed to stabilize the organization. At least if, for example, if Eskom was where it was when he joined, it would be much better because we're on stage 2 rather than this stage 6 that takes electricity for 10 hours out of 24 hours.
There are those who say then that what Eskom needs is not a change of leadership, but to add as much power to the grid to get around as possible, bring in independent power producers, alternative sources of energy, and that's what we need to do, because even if de Ruyter left at 5 o'clock this afternoon, load shedding would likely continue tomorrow. It would continue in August, September, and in 2023. What do you say?
Yeah, bringing additional capacity is one of the options in addition to the load. You remember, in electricity, there's something called base load. So, for example, solar doesn't give you base load. Solar during the night is not there. So what is needed is for Eskom to make sure that it guarantees base load, and that is the job of the CEO. The CEO must make sure that they produce enough electricity for the country. That is not happening. So remember when the Ruyter came, he said, "Give me 18 months. In 18 months, I'll be able to stabilize the country grid." And South Africans are not necessarily unreasonable. We are very, very much understanding. If it was another country, you will be seeing matches and closing the country. But we're very reasonable. So if a new person is brought there who's capable, skilled, experienced, I'm sure the country will give that person another 18 months to say, in 18 months, stabilize the economy, because at this rate, there's no one who's going to want to invest in South Africa. Because if you want to, for example, put a smelter here in South Africa, you can't, because you're thinking, where am I going to get the electricity to run my smelter? Mm-hmm. But if they remove the rate, bring a person who's capable, they will be able to stabilize the grid in 18 months. That is a reasonable time that South Africans will give any person, like we've given the rate and then he failed.
Kganki Matabane, thank you as always for your time, sir.